Story 1. Go back to my family instead of being on the sea and only coming home twice a year. Get the best treatments for both of my sons. One has cancer and the other has an autoimmune disorder for 10 years. Get my kids the help they need. One of them is talking about taking his own life lately. It broke me into pieces. Get my wife the help she needs also. Whatever it is. I know some people would tell me to find another job because money isn't everything and that I should be closer to the family for emotional and mental support. No jobs on land pay as much as my current job. Even if I work overtime or 2 jobs, it doesn't even reach 50% of my current salary. I'm from a third world country, so the economy isn't great, and the health system isn't too great either. I decided to do this job 8 years ago because I couldn't afford treatment for my kid with an autoimmune disorder. Because of this job, he survived many major health events. Now, with my other twin diagnosed with cancer, the bills increase. I need more money than before. They would be dead if I chose the time. We wouldn't be able to afford their treatments while also paying for living expenses and education. If I let go of my current job, I need to either give up both kids' treatment or choose one kid to continue treatment and stop the other kid's treatment, which more likely we would choose to continue treatment for our twin with cancer and stop my other twin's autoimmune treatment, while also cutting our living expenses. I can't imagine how I am going to choose between my kids. Story 2. Not working, that's for sure. A lot of days now, I sit here and think about how I'm sleeping 1/3 of my life, working 1/3 of my life, and commuting an hour on top of it. And in that free time, I'm encouraged to self-pursue coding projects. If I were born wealthy, I'd just pursue my interests. Sounds nice. Story 3. I'm not at work, probably buying land and acres around it, and then calling builders to build my dream home and shop. Then hitting up car places to fill up the said shop. Laugh out loud. Story 4. I would be cooking food for the people in my community every day. There is a park near me with several public grills. If I had the funds, I would love to cook everyone at least 1 to 2 meals a week. But if funds were not an issue, I would do it every day with the help of paid volunteers. Story 5. I would do all the things I say billionaires should do now. Create more dog shelters, homeless shelters, provide food for families in need, etc., to see how far I would get and see if any of it would actually make a difference. Yes, I would be broke afterwards, but I would like to put my money where my mouth is and see what the outcome was. Edit. I have not said this as a virtue-signaling, savior of humanity type of thing. Of course, I would help my own family and friends and see the world too, but I genuinely wouldn't try to save it or anything. Story 6. Get one of the top-tier personal trainers to boost fitness and make myself physically prepared for extreme circumstances. Travel to France, Italy, Istanbul, and Morocco, and embark on the Trans-Siberian Railway journey from Moscow to Beijing. Study anthropology, paleontology, marine biology, and linguistics. Participate in a research team set in the Amazon, Papua New Guinea, or Congo River rainforest. At age 78, fly to Switzerland and live there until I die. Story 7. Whatever I want. Sometimes I want to travel, sometimes sleep all day, sometimes play the piano. Infinite possibilities without responsibilities. Story 8. Living elsewhere, I would be in the United Kingdom, traveling and absorbing the history. I dislike my province's current political climate, the extremely cold winters, and the conservative, unsophisticated nonsense. Story 9. Sleeping in, probably. Then I'll check on my various international projects later. If I were ever a billionaire, I'd fund community projects in countries that interest me to give me an excuse to visit them. Story 10. Traveling the world and creating videos about the beauty of the world that some don't see. Not basic tourist locations, actual cool locations. I currently have about $20,000 of film equipment that I slowly collected. I am a mechanic and don't use it for a job. I do this rarely already, but my possibilities are limited. I don't want to go to Dubai and pay $2,000 a night for something. I'd like, for example, to go to Iceland or the Faroe Islands with a tent, an off-road vehicle, a laptop, and some basic internet to post stuff. Also, not for fame. I don't care how many people would see it. The only reason I try to get people to see it at all is so it could help finance this a tiny bit at all, which would not be necessary if I could pay it. Also, I'd help out my current workplace a bit with the money, as me also leaving now would put them in an even worse spot, as tractor mechanics are rare as can be currently. Edit. Faroe Islands and Iceland were examples I thought of on the spot. I'd like to go up to Machu Picchu, yeah, but I'd also like to just go off-roading somewhere and nowhere in America, cross the desert in Australia, take a coast trip in a camper in America, visit North Cape in Sweden, or what it's called, drive through Africa, check out Brazil and whatnot. I'd come up with much more random, unknown things if I'd actually have the chance for it. Story 11. I would be in Japan, Thailand, and Cambodia. Also, buy a place to live instead of renting a flat. Help out friends who are struggling, as most people are in this economy. Story 12. Running a village for people living with schizophrenia out in nature, where they can be safe and live fulfilling lives, is something I am passionate about. They can maintain basic skills like gardening, keeping animals, and for those who can tolerate it, a social life. I have a special thing for people living with severe mental illness. Then, the rest of the time, I'd be traveling. Story 13. Absolutely nothing. Just napping all day. And when I wake up, I would spend my time taking absurdly long baths, watching movies and shows, eating something delicious, drinking champagne, tending to my dogs, and scrolling through Reddit before my next nap. I would probably never leave my house again and have things delivered and people, such as manicurists, doctors, and trainers, come to me on days I needed services between my nap times. Story 14. Travel alone and explore, learn new cultures, fall in love with the cities I have never been to, eat lots of delicious food, and just basically live my life on the road. Story 15. Getting high on the couch with my girlfriend and our cats as we laugh our hearts out at YouTube videos. Legitimately, even if we had billions of dollars, that's enough for me to have my soul filled. Story 16. Writing stories and improving my writing skills. Travel the world, know people from different cultures, write about them, their lives. Learn about new and different people, their lives, history, their beliefs, etc. I'm always fascinated by it. Story 17. Checking myself into some sort of health facility to help me get my strength back and figure out what is wrong with my stomach, and finding a professional caregiver or assistant to help me function and keep track of everything. Chronic illness sucks. Story 18. I would buy it like a compound house, like a big gated, like a giant home, and I would just adopt all the senior dogs. I could find them and take care of them in puppy piles on the big fluffy couches and stuff, and give them the best life ever. Story 19. Traveling the world before it's engulfed in restrictive war zones. I moved home when my dad passed away to take care of my mother who has Parkinson's. It's not aggressive yet, but she can't be on her own, so I basically do what work I can between hourly checks on her. I make her breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the time between is kind of mine, but I have to be ready to respond if she needs help. I'm independently wealthy and she's very rich, so home care is just a matter of dignity now. I really don't want to leave her on her own because my dad was so dedicated to her, and I have no children. That's why I'm here, I think, because I never wanted children or a wife, but I think I can deal with helping my mom and hope I don't pass away first. I could walk away tomorrow and be fine except for my conscience. Life is a maze of difficult choices. Story 20. I would probably be dead after buying a house with a swimming pool, filling said swimming pool with money, and then Scrooge McDucking it off the diving board. Then realizing quite money doesn't share the same properties as liquid. Story 21. Build a dream house on the property, hire someone to clean it, and take care of the landscaping. Then I would just hike and enjoy nature and my hobbies. Get a bunch of dogs, cats, and plants, and eat great food, and just enjoy the outdoors. To be free. Story 22. Definitely traveling to every country on my bucket list and most likely repeating it again until I get bored. In between, I'd like to volunteer to give back to the community, open a small cafe, and live in a cottage courthouse with my garden full of fruits, vegetables, and plants. Can't forget my fur babies. Story 23. Probably doing exactly what I am doing, but at a slower pace. Currently in school for mental health counseling, which I would want to do regardless of money, but I'd probably take a lighter caseload. Story 24. Learning to fly the helicopter I will have just bought. That way, I can load it up with ultralight camping gear and find a spot away from everything to chill out, read a book, and relax. Story 25. I'd be studying history for the rest of my life. I've graduated from school with a history degree trying to get into medical sciences, but I still find myself reading history books and even writing book reports. I have no one to turn them into, but I still write them. Story 26. World travel. By that, I don't mean being a tourist. I mean staying in locations for months at a time, probably never returning home and experiencing different cultures and countries for the rest of my life. Story 27. Depends. 1 million are probably still working, but 1 billion, yes, will enroll in JP Morgan private banking, 7 cancer centers, and 7 liver transplant hospitals for free. And where do I sign up for $1 billion? Story 28. I am in medical school and I would probably continue on and become a doctor because I need something meaningful to keep me busy. With that said, I would get a nice house, a nice car, and go on some fun vacations with my fiancée. Story 29. Buy a bunch of land and start a community for my friends. All femmes and them and the few men who make the cut to be honorary girls. We have a big farm, garden, animals, and so on. Everyone gets their own tiny home, and then there's a community building where we can share meals. Story 30. Pay off loans. Buy a house in full. The things I look forward to are mostly gated by time, like waiting for a game release or a new piece of technology rather than money, though. Story 31. Working on the house. I wish I could say my ambitions were higher, but forgive me. I've been dedicating every evening and every weekend to my home projects for months now, and mostly, it's frustrating. I sit at work doing something I'm not passionate about when I could be at home, just investing time into getting this done.